Hey, what's up guys? Season 4 just dropped and I want to show you guys my leveling build that I used to get to level 100. This was my first time actually using Flurry from level 1 to 100, and with all the changes and buffs Flurry has gotten recently, it feels pretty good. The crowd control, mobility, and clear speed you get with this setup feels so amazing for leveling, and if you have any questions about the build, leave a comment or come ask me while I'm live here on YouTube. I'll probably be streaming, or you can join my community Discord, the link will be in the description. So with that out of the way, let's get into the Icy Shadow Flurry build. As this is a leveling guide, this build is focused on clear speed and it excels at destroying packs of mobs and hopping onto the mechs. So with that, we do sacrifice a bit of boss damage, but you can still take down bosses no problem. So in this video, I'll be going over skills, the skill tree, stat priority, aspect priority, and the Paragon Boards. As normal, there will be timestamps and the link to the build planner can be found in the description. Starting off with the skills, we'll be using Shadow Step, Dash, Flurry, Shadow Imbuement, Caltrops, and Puncture, with the specialization combo points. With Shadow Step and Dash, we can jump from pack to pack, quickly clearing and moving through health tides or dungeons. Shadow Imbuement gives us great energy sustain, and now we're able to have up to 8 casts of Shadow Imbuement with the new tempering system. Caltrops gives us some extra crowd control, and it got buffed to giving us up to a 45% damage multi depending on how long enemies are in them, so it's a great damage stim for high density packs or elites. Now to quickly go over the skill tree, we're starting off with Puncture and Fundamental Puncture to apply vulnerable to enemies. This pairs very well with Improved Flurry, so we don't actually need to use the exploit glyph to make enemies vulnerable, as this will just make the entire pack vulnerable. Then we're getting Sturdy with Siphoning Strikes for some more damage reduction and healing. Moving on, we're getting Shadow Step with Disciplined Shadow Step to just get Shadow Step up more often. We're picking up 3 into Weapon Mastery, getting a Dash with Enhanced Dash to get some extra critical strike damage when we're going and dashing through packs. Caltrops with Methodical Caltrops to apply more chill. Moving on, we're putting 1 point into Exploit, 3 into Malice. 1 point into Agile because I had an extra point. You could just put that point into Shadow Imbuement. Then we're going 1 into Shadow with Mixed Shadow Imbuement to make enemies take more non-physical damage. 1 into Shadow Crash, picking up 3 into Consuming Shadow. This is our main form of energy sustain. 3 into Precision Imbuement. 1 into Frigid Finesse. 3 into Chilling Weight for that extra damage against chilled and frozen enemies. Then we're going 1 into Innervation, 3 into Second Wind, and 3 into Alchemist Fortune. Then we're going to go 1 into Adrenaline Rush, 3 into Haste for some more movement speed, and then finally picking up Close Quarters Combat. Next, we'll be going over the stat and tempering priorities. Starting with your weapons, we want to have a crossbow, and for your melee weapons, whatever you prefer. I prefer using a dagger and sword combo. On your crossbow, you'll want to get dex, damage percent, and life, and if you're feeling tanky enough, go for crit damage over life. For your melee weapons, go for dex, damage percent, and crit damage, and for your tempered stats, you want to get damage to crowd controlled first, followed by flurry size. For your armor, on your helmet, you're going to want life, cooldown reduction, and armor. The chestplate, get life, armor, and a resistance roll. The gloves, you want ranks to flurry, crit chance, and attack speed. The pants get life, armor, and another resistance roll. And lastly, for the boots, you want movement speed, life, and dex. For the tempering stats, you want to prioritize on capping your elemental resistances, followed by lucky hit chance to freeze. For the gloves, you'll want damage to crowd control and lucky hit chance to freeze. And lastly, the jewelry. On the amulet, get dex percent, ranks to weapon mastery, and life. Your rings get life, crit chance, and attack speed. And for the tempering stats, it's kind of 50-50 on what's more important, but you're going to want to get damage to crowd control and additional Shadow Imbuement casts. Next, we have the aspect priority. For your defensive aspects, go for Undying for some insane healing, and Might for some extra damage reduction. The combination of Undying with the built-in healing Flurry has, you'll go from 1% life to full life in literally under a second. It's ridiculous. For the offensive and utility aspects, the most important ones you want are Encircling Blades on your crossbow, Icy Alchemist on a ring or weapon, Shared Misery on your chest plate, and Frostbitten on your amulet. After you have these, get Accelerating and Rapid for some more attack speed, Expectant for some more damage, and Concussive Strikes on your gloves for even more crowd control and damage to the day's enemies. And on your boots, you can really get whatever here. I liked using Ravengers for an extra Shadow Step charge. The combination of Icy Alchemist, all of our lucky hit to freeze, and Shared Misery just instantly freezes whatever pack we dive into and then explodes them into the most satisfying shadow and ice explosions. And lastly, for gear, I'm going to mention some uniques that you're going to want to use if you happen to drop them. If you manage to get Penitent Greaves, use them. And if you're not like me and manage to get Condemnation early on into World Tier 4, swap out your Rapid Aspect weapon for it. And finally, we have the Paragon Boards. So early into World Tier 4, before all of your glyphs are at level 15, you're going to want to prioritize picking up the legendary, rare, and magic nodes that are selected. Some of the glyphs you can't hit the bonus on until they're level 15, like Control, Canny, and Turf, Combat. I don't think any of these you can actually hit besides the Dex ones until they're at level 15. So if you can't hit the threshold, just go ahead and just skip it and just continue on through the boards, picking up those nodes. Once you hit it, you can backtrack a bit to fill them out. But yeah, so to go over the board order from the starting board, we're going into the Cheap Shot board, picking up Cheap Shot and placing Devious in this board. Then we're going to Trixo the Trade and placing Canny in this board. And over to the right, picking up Exploit Weakness, which got a buff from 15% to 25%, so it's a pretty good damage boost there. And we're going to be putting Control in this board. Then go up to the Eldritch Bounty board, and we're going to go ahead and put Combat here. And then finally going to the Deadly Ambush board, picking up Deadly Ambush and placing Turf in this board. As for the glyph leveling order, you want to prioritize leveling Control to 15, Canny to 15, and Devious to 15. From there, you can kind of just level the rest of the glyphs, whichever you prefer first. And yeah, that sums up the Paragon boards. And the links to the build planner, of course, as stated earlier, will be in the description below. And with that, we sum up the Icy Shadow Flurry leveling build for Season 4. If you enjoyed this build guide, leave this video a like and subscribe. I do plan on continuing this build and making an endgame version for pushing Pit with it, so keep an eye out for that. Other than that, that's all for today. Remember to have fun and take care.